Hi, I am Isis with Sistah Scifi, and welcome to Sistah Scifi Wind Down Wednesday, where we work hard to make Wednesday your new favorite day of the week. So, if you are on our email list or you follow us on social media, you know that tonight we have Nalo Hopkinson. Hey, Zena, how are you? Who will be joining, and Nalo will be discussing their latest novel, Blackheart Man. Which is an alternative um, Caribbean fantasy, which is amazing. The main character, Veycosi, is polyamorous, a never do well, and definitely a stoner. Um, and he's a griot in training. I definitely think this book is great for fans of Escaping Exodus, Queen of the Broken, Queen of the Conquered, um, Escaping Exodus, Queen of the Conquered, and there was another one that was in my head and it totally spaced. And then anything by Nalo Hopkinson, of course. And you're like, why isn't Isis showing me the book with this beautiful cover that I've seen all over Instagram? My copies of the book have not arrived, and I did not get an ARC from Simon and Schuster. Like, I bought the audiobook, I bought the ebook, I immersive read it, so I don't have a physical copy of Blackheart Man to show you, but it's amazing, and I'll be getting my copies, my personal copy, and the copies to fulfill pre-orders next week. But hopefully Nalo has her author copies, so she'll be able to show us, and we'll also be Erica Hardison of Fabulous Magazine will be my co-host. So we are geared up for a great conversation. Nala will join a little bit before 5, so any minute now, 5 Pacific Standard Time. So yeah, that is me. I feel good. It's been, hey, Locked in Press Books. It's been a while since I've done a Sistah Scifi Wind Down Wednesday because I like to take a summer break too. My day has been good. I got some indoor rock climbing in, so that feels exciting. I sent the questions over to Nalo ahead of time. It was last minute, but it was before we got on the line. Okay. So that is also exciting. So let me know how y'all. I can see the chat. Okay. Oh, hey Erica, how are you? That was
Hey.
so effortless. I was like, wow, that was amazing. Okay. How are you today?
I'm doing. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. You're like literally glowing. I love it.
Oh, thank you. I just put on some moisturizer.
I love it. Um, and yes, I can hear you perfectly. I can see you perfectly. So this is great. Do you have an arc, a Blackheart Man?
I am actually waiting for the publisher to send me a copy. I only had an e-copy. So it should be here hopefully this week, but I don't have one right now, unfortunately.
Same. I was like, I've been thinking about this all week. I'm like, what am I going to show? And I'm like, I will show my ebook, um, which is not the same, but that's what we're going to do so I can show something. So we can see the cover. It's not the same. Hey, Timothy, how are you? Uh, and it went to where I was at. Oh, it keeps wanting to go to where I was at. How do I just show the cover? Anyway, so this is the audio book. It looks like I haven't started, but I finished it and then it restarted again. And that's the beautiful cover. And so I immersive read, listening to the audio book while reading the ebook. How are you this week? It's been a minute.
Um, I'm just here. I'm just
Okay.
here existing. Are you excited for the fall?
I am. I am. I'm excited for the fall. I mean, I'm a summer girl. Like, ideally, I would live in a country like Chynchin, and it would be summer all year long. So, so I would not say I'm excited per se, but it'd be what it be. What about you?
I'm definitely a fall girl. I love wearing skirts and boots together and drinking pumpkin everything.
Oh, okay. So you like it. Okay, so I just got it. Okay. Go to the refreshing and
Have you thought about a theme we should do this year for Black Speculative Fiction Month?
no. Um, so what might be cool? Because I think last year I was doing that with you, and then also something separately with Bree, who I think should be here. Um, so I think this year I want to merge those two. Like, so Bree will do a bunch of themes with a bunch of challenges, and so like we could come up with themes, and then maybe like what we post could be a response to that thing. Because usually like she'll do challenges, and I never, because I'm creating stuff is really hard. So yeah, so maybe that, but I have not. But I don't know. Oh, so hard. Because yeah, usually we're like I don't know. I mean, we have a lot of content that we didn't use for Black vampires.
I was gonna say if you want to do Black Vampires again because it's like so much Black vampire content this year and a lot more books, we can revisit that again. And it's
True.
also Hoodoo Heritage Month at the same time, so we can kind of like combine the two because I feel like our the Hoodoo Heritage had like, a lot of response to it.
Okay, so yeah, I like that. So let's do that.
Or we could just do like all Black speculative fiction, like one week do vampires, another week do witches, another week do so it's 4 weeks. So we could do that as well if you just want to open it up and have more options.
No, I think I just want to do vampires.
Okay.
I'm yeah, I'm a very basic girly. Um, okay. I'm trying to um make sure that Nalo is okay. Let me try something else. So yeah, let's do vampires. Hmm, okay.
I've been reading a lot of vampire stories too.
Oh yay! There's a lot of good ones. I want to. Is that Marble Dark? Is that a vampire one?
The what?
A Mortal Dark?
I think I'm not sure.
Okay.
I haven't read that one yet.
Yeah, I haven't read it either, but I have to. Okay. So let me. I always tell myself I can multitask better than I can, and I can't. Um, 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 Okay. Give me, let me, hey everyone. So Nalo's joining. I'm troubleshooting with Nalo in Instagram Messenger. I might have to call Nalo. Hey Bree, how are you? So please hold. It'll be great. It'll be fine. Um, in the meantime, so yeah, we have our theme for Black Speculative Fiction Month. Let me know in the chat how you're doing this week, and if you've read Blackheart Man and you have any questions, which I have a tab, yes, and I can see your questions in the chat. Just refresh that.
Are you bringing Bree up?
So Bree, that you wanted to focus on in-person event, but Bree, let me know if you want to hop on and we can make that happen.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I'm gonna blame this on Mercury in retrograde. Okay. Give me 2 seconds. Let me put myself on mute and give Nala.
Oh, yeah, gonna have so much fun. I was on the West Coast sometime. It seems like all the good parties are on the West Coast. I'm jealous. It's probably still light outside there, right? It's all dark here. Well, it was hot here today. It was like 100, but it's very dark outside now because I'm in New Jersey and it's after 8 o'clock. I apologize ahead of time if you hear my very active child in the background. Yes, I have been like in a historical fiction escapism portal. Like I've read so much historical fiction this year, and I'm okay with that. Mm. Okay. Yes, I love a good um uh, a short story. I think we actually read House of Whispers, the graphic novel for the Sistah Sci-Fi graphic novel book club. I think that was last year, I believe. Mhm. Yes, I am. I believe it's just three. We only read the first volume for the book club, and maybe we need to read two or three, but we definitely read the first one as a collective last year. I'm gonna have to ask um, Miss Hopkinson how to pronounce these magical island names because the way I'm saying it in my head, I don't know if it's actually the way it's meant to sound.
Boy, we hear you live.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you.
You gotta turn it around. There you go.
Hi.
Isis, you're on mute. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Isis.
All right.
Thank you. And before your the other person leaves, can they hand you a copy? Do you have a copy of Blackheart Man that you can hold up?
I
No.
do.
Okay. Do you have it nearby? So
Yes, I
yeah.
do.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I love this dress.
Just trying to prop up the phone because I had it set up for landscape.
No problem.
Are you in Jamaica right now or in Canada?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I live in Canada.
Okay.
Yay! We did that. The gang's all here. Um,
Okay. Remember when I said me and English don't speak the same language?
I beg your pardon?
Said remember when I said that Instagram and I don't speak the same language?
yeah, and I was like, I wonder what that means. But now I know. So, but we're here and it's perfect. And thank you for navigating all that with us. And one day I'll think of something easier, but this flows. So yay! So thank you. Um, how was your day? Like Erica and I have done check-ins, but how's your day? Nalo Hopkinson?
Uh, he said soonest mended. I am getting through it. Put it that way.
Okay, we like getting through it. So everybody here is a huge fan of your whole body of work, from Brown Girl in the Ring to obviously now Blackheart Man to soon to be Jamaica Ginger. But if you could, and if that feels comfortable, I love for people when they join Wind Down Wednesday to introduce themselves. And then we also have Erica Hardison here, who is a super talented curator of Black speculative fiction who'll be the co-host. So we will both interview you and ask you questions about Blackheart Man. So yeah, so I'll pause and what are the fun things that you want us to tell us about you?
Oh, is that for me?
Nala? No, that's for Nala.
Oh, you said
Nala,
I
can you?
Okay, because I didn't.
Yes.
So who's telling whom?
If,
You're asking?
if Nala, you could tell us on Instagram. Yes, about yes.
So I'm Nalo Hopkinson, Jamaican born, living in Canada, have done for more than 3 decades with a brief exception. I write science fiction and fantasy. I'm in beautiful Vancouver. I'm checking the weather because in Vancouver you always have to. It's actually kind of sunny right now.
Nice. I like this is not. I was like, have you always been in Vancouver? I thought you were in Toronto. Did I make that up?
No, you're right.
Okay. And I want to add, Grand Master of the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association.
Yes.
One of the, I guess, the first Black woman of
Yeah.
color.
And the youngest person to date, I think. Yep.
Yes, so that's exciting. Award-winning writer from Brown Girl in the Ring and all that kind of stuff. So very excited for you to be here. Yeah. Erica, do you want to ask the first question?
Well, the first question I would like for you ask you, Miss Hopkinson, can I call you that, or would you like me prefer me to call
Oh,
you by first name?
yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I wanted to, in my head, I feel like I'm pronouncing these islands and names incorrectly. So if you could just say it correctly so I can fix how I'm saying it in my head for your book, Blackheart Man, that would be very much appreciated.
Okay. You're cutting in and out. So what is it that you want me to say correctly?
Can you give us the correct pronunciation of the islands and the names of the characters in the book Blackheart Man? Because I feel like I'm saying it wrong in my head.
I tell how I say them in my head. I don't know if they're right. So the island I'm calling the island Chynchin. It's a Taino word that means little.
Okay.
Main character named Veycosi. His best friend is named Gombe. He's engaged to Gombe and to Tandiwe, sometimes called Tandy. There's a character named Andrew. There's a character named Samra. I think the camel is called goat.
And then there's Kyra, Veycosi is intended, Veycosi's daughter to be for most of the book.
Eira.
Gaida, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, pronounce it how it comes out of your mouth. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Erica was great, and then she's coming back. Okay, so thank you for the pronunciation. I got to immersive read it, which means I read the text while listening to the audiobook, which is so like they're seeing the vernacular, but I'm dyslexic, so hearing the vernacular was also very important to me. So, okay. My first question is, when I was reading the book, I was like, wow, this is really different, right? And sometimes I think something is really different, and I ask the author, and they're like, what are you talking about? But then I read your Locus magazine article, and you also talk about like Blackheart Man is different from some of your other works. So how was it different for you, and what inspired that change?
It's very similar in some ways. It's different in that I have Caribbean setting, but created a fantasy world that draws on Caribbean culture. I don't know if that's very different than what I do, or it's different than what you usually expect from Caribbean literature. I think more the latter. What inspired me to do it? Why not? I have ADHD, I get bored, so I'm not going to do the same thing twice. And I'm not going to do the same thing twice. So I remember this book took me a long time to write. So trying to remember some of the inspirations now. I knew I wanted to write a male protagonist. I do something with the history of marronage, which is of enslaved Africans running away from the plantation and setting up their own communities in the bush. I knew I wanted to do something with lost books and preserving lost books, and something a little bit to do with the griots, the sort of balladeer historians from West Africa. So that help?
100%. And then like the cover, even the cover is different. So if you can show us the cover, like it's Veycosi, yes. And I'm like, oh, that's very different from the cover of like Sister Mine or Brown Girl in the Ring. Tell us like some of the key things that resonated to like that you got when you saw the cover for the first time that you got excited about.
Well, first of all, now you have me trying to remember the name of the wonderful artist who should be credited.
Yeah, they're in the acknowledgement.
And the cover, I loved it pretty much instantly. I loved that there was a man with such clear indigenous features front and center, as the main character is. That the twin African goddesses behind him, if you look at the cover carefully, you can see the artist didn't just mirror them, that the left is actually a little bit different from the right, in a way that lets you see from the way the light is falling on one of the caiman's teeth here, you can see which way the light is coming from. I just love the attention to detail. I love the color, the colors that he chose. It was just fun because, you know, you don't get a whole lot of say in your covers. So I'm really thankful that that my editor worked so hard to find an artist of Caribbean background and someone whose work is this strong. So the signal keeps stopping and starting again.
So yeah, so for me, there's a little bit of breakup, but it's fine. But let's keep powering through. And then, and if it becomes really bad, like let us know in the chat. This is Muse also says that the cover is gorgeous, period. Yeah, so I love it. Erica, do you want to ask the next question?
Yes, now I also have ADHD, so I could totally relate to not wanting to create similar content all the time. So now that I know it took you over a decade to write this book, having ADHD, how do you plan and write your stories? Like, do you start off with just the outline, or do you have them in your head and then you just kind of like, steam through, characters and stories? Like, what's your process like?
Um, Usually I have a notion of some kind, and I'm impatient, so I start writing, and I have no idea going or what the plot is, or often what the hell it is I'm writing about. What they call a pantser. I'm doing it by the seat of my pants. So I just start writing. When I get stuck, I panic for a bit, then I figure out what to do next. Uh, I have people who are sort of second readers for me. I have my main squeeze who I will ask for advice when I'm stuck. And a lot of the time, I don't even finish telling. I get halfway through and the answer comes to me, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'm good. So it's a very disorganized process, as you might expect. Uh, Eventually, with a lot of work and tears and rewriting, it comes together. And it's the rewriting for me where the story happens. The writing is often just chaotic. Um, but eventually I figure out there's a story in there somewhere. So sometimes I've done it very quickly. My first novel, I finished the second 2/3 of it in 3 months. I have never done that since. I think I burned something out. Uh, this one took a while because I was having a lot of life challenges and had to keep stopping. So the kind of write every day, yada, 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 I have not yet been able to make it work for me. Still, books are happening, so.
Yeah, projects are happening. So I'm excited about that. So the organicness of your process, I won't call it messy or disorganized. Sounds exciting. And the acknowledgement, you also mentioned Kathy Smith and the Zoom group that she created. How did that create support and or structure? Anything else that helped you move through the writing of the book?
By that time, it was about 12 years on. I had finished most of a first draft of the novel many years before when it was under contract. But because it wasn't completely finished, the then publisher canceled the contract. So I had that sitting on my head, that this book had been so much trouble and then caused me so much trouble. But every time I could make myself look at the manuscript again, I still liked it. However, 12 years on, it's hard to get back into. Kathy Thomas she used to be a postdoc student working with me. I was mentoring her for a few years at UC Riverside. And once she got done and got hired, she started a Zoom writing group because by then COVID had begun. People were not meeting in person. And it was mostly women of color. And she would just open up the Zoom every morning from 8:30, I think, for about 3 hours, and we could get on there. We would chat a bit, and then we would each be working on our own projects. That gave me the structure to keep going till I eventually finished it. With ADHD, you often feel, or I do, that I like to be free floating. I don't much like structure, but frankly, I thrive under it when I can make myself do it. So that was a good combination of by choice and by design that helped me to get through. I've had cheerleaders all the way through friends, my partner, people like that who are just like, would read versions of it, would give me comments, they say writing is a solitary sport, and kind of, but doesn't have to be. And for me, it's better when I have people at least sort of helping, be cheerleading on the sides, or yeah, that kind of stuff, reminding me that, or telling me I can do it, because I'm not always sure I can.
Really?
Girl.
You have I would not believe that someone of your stature has like self-doubt.
Bless. It's not so much, I know I have the chops, it's whether the brain is going to come through.
Uh,
I can understand that.
Yeah, whether I'm going to have the energy, all of that. So it's kind of a miracle to me that I've written books at all.
Relatable.
yeah, and like, yeah, I couldn't imagine a world without Midnight Robber.
Oh,
So I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad you made that work. So Erica has the next question, but I just Smith's Publishing asked, and let me know now if you don't want to go in this direction. What were some of your first platforms that you pushed the book within sales? That's
hang on just a sec.
That freezing is being experienced by everybody who's listening. A lot of people are telling me they're getting like 45-second blocks of freeze as well.
Okay.
You might want to check whether you're on the Wi-Fi network that is right next to you, or whether you're on the one upstairs, or whether you're on cell.
Okay, sorry for the break. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way I can fix the freezes, because a lot of people are experiencing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
One moment.
thank you.
Hi.
For those of you who are watching, is like what's happening. We're checking our Wi-Fi to make. We're checking our internet connection to make sure we're on Wi-Fi, not cellular connection. Hopefully that will help with the pause. Again, we're talking to Nalo Hopkinson about Blackheart Man and writing in general and supportive processes. Yay.
So I'm back there. Thanks for your patience. Just sure that there's fewer breaks.
That sounds better.
Okay. So someone's asking what were my first platforms that I pushed the book within sales. If I'm understanding the question, I'm conventionally published, so I write what I write. I send it out to publishers through my agent to see if anybody wants to publish it, and I'm looking at professional publishers, like people who've got a whole sort of a system and an army, and behind them. And once it's accepted, I do a rewrite based on the editor's letter, and then they do everything after that. They prepare the thing to be printed. They choose the artwork. They print the copies. They do the publicity. They send the book out, because I'm not going to do all that stuff by myself. So whoever's publishing it, they're the people who do most of the publicity, and they have the connections as well. So they will be doing things like seeking out interviews, like sending out review copies to reviewers, like sometimes arranging events for me, that kind of thing. I can help by using social media. I'm currently on Blue Sky, the Blue Sky app. But the bulk of it, like getting an ISBN, all of that allows big bookstores to carry the book, all done by the publisher. And that's the way that works best for my brain. All power to people who do self-publishing, but not for me.
Thank you for answering that question and answering it in such detail. Yeah, and so people can do that soup to nuts, and yeah, it's good to need people and delegate some stuff. Erica, the next question is yours.
Okay. I know you talked about like the Zoom group and allowing you to have structure. Um, what type of support did you have, and what was sort of the things, the structures you had for Blackheart Man? Was it any
First,
different from the Zoom, or did you do something different?
um, Zoom was new. Um, wasn't really a thing with the books I did before that. The Zoom was new. I use a app called Scrivener to help me organize the parts of my manuscript. Before then, I would just write a bunch of words with a bunch of scene breaks, and the editor would write me back and say which of these are chapters and which are scenes, and I would say yes, because I had no idea. With Scrivener, it lets you see thumbnails of each section, and you can move them around, and all of a sudden a structure will become obvious to me. It also lets me keep track of my research, whether it be photos, videos, text, whatever. So it's a very flexible tool. Other kinds of support I've talked about a little bit, having friends who are willing to be first readers for me, give me feedback. I have sometimes been part of the writing group, but I haven't done that in a while. What else do I use as support? Some of these I've talked about already. So
endless research.
Research, yes, endless research. Writing science fiction fantasy means research. So there's a lot of that. And sometimes it's the fun part because you get lost down a research rabbit hole and you find out information that leads to a new story idea, or that sometimes story problem that you didn't know how to fix. So there's a lot of that happening.
I could relate to that because I feel like at least when my ADHD, I feel like I absorb a lot of information. So like the research part of the process of writing is fun for me because I get to kind of like zone in and have all this information. Like I call it like Snapple facts. Like why do you know these random things? But it's like I like absorbing this information, but then taking that information and then creating a structure, that's where I kind of like tear my hair out.
Yeah,
So
you
I
and me both.
relate to that.
So, so I mentioned earlier that I read Blackheart Man immersively. So I would like to, if this feels of ease for you, Nala, would you like to read an excerpt? And you can totally say, no, thank you. I wouldn't be afraid.
Go for about a minute, maybe a minute or two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Any page
People
you
have
want.
have a copy of the book and they want to read along. It's page 66. There we go. Moments after the sun's bottom lip cleared the horizon, the brigade charged down the hill. They'd made camp up on the barren heights, the better to survey the community of escaped slaves they'd come to reclaim for their crown. Kima stood with the rest of the hailest members of their compound of defiant runaways, ready to give back blow for blow. The Ymisen pistoliers advanced upon the waiting village compound, their silence unnerved. Only the paddy thump of the camels' wide feet made any sound. Compound people murmured, stepped back. But Mother Letty gestured to the compound's defenders to stand still. So they did. Kima felt her palms slippery on her sharpened hoe. She'd known this day would come, but she didn't feel ready. Who could really make ready for something like that? The pistoliers advanced upon them in 5 rows, some tens of soldiers posting up and down in unison on their camels. Each row but the last comprised 7 gangly camels, each camel ridden by a bonded Mirmeki soldier, each soldier kitted out in identical and pristine red jackets with light brown pantalons. Near on 4 muskets for each of them, and powder, carried by a small boy running beside each camel. There were only 12 muskets in the village compound. Now the first rows of camels stepped onto the pitch road that led into the village. The road was easily wide enough for 7 camels across. The cool morning sun had not yet made the surface of the pitch sticky. The camels didn't even break stride. Kima made a noise of dismay. Where was the strong science that the 3 witches had promised them? Weeks and weeks they'd had them carrying reeking black pitch from the deep sink of it that lay in the gully, rewarming it on fires, mixing it with stones, and spreading it into this road that led from nowhere to the entrance of the compound and stopped abruptly there. Had they done nothing but create a smooth, paved surface by which the army could enter and destroy them? Oh.
I, for me, Blackheart Man becomes like almost a detective story to figure out what happens in that scene. So you have the folklore that's presented in that scene, and then you have Veycosi trying to figure out like how did this happen. And then I loved that adding of the mythology, but I also loved like the story within the story because I felt like it contextualized what was going on presently in Chynchin with its history and with like its own like hierarchy and like so I loved that scene and also was very speculative, right? So
Thank you.
Yeah. So excellent excerpt. And Erica has the next question.
Yes. All right. So in your locus interview, you talk about Caribbean tunnel and basically Caribbean indigenous people. You know, in this particular story, um, this character is like smart and you know they don't really understand privilege. Is there a reason you wanted to use this particular character and in this particular ethnic makeup to kind of describe and put these characteristics in this particular character? Is that something you did intentionally or did it happen by happenstance?
Little of both. I wanted to overturn the usual social order, which is a lot of the fun of writing science fiction and fantasies that you can imagine if things were different. So in this novel, the indigenous people are at the top of the social structure of privilege. Then it's people descended from enslaved peoples. And then it's people descended from European peoples. And they're not exactly those things. I invented analogs for them. But I wanted to look at what the culture I could invent if I overturned the expected social structure. So that's part of what was going on. He came to me, man, I don't remember how he came to me. I probably at first had him being this earnest grad student, but I needed to mix it up a little bit. I needed to disrupt it a little bit, so he became the person he is, where he thinks he knows everything. I think of him as kind of like the stoner white dude who, you know, earnest, has the sense of justice, doesn't really understand how privilege works, and is always trying to put forward his own ideas. And that was fun and interesting to write to somebody like that. And to write, for me anyway, to write my characters, I have to kind of like them. That doesn't mean they have to be like a bull. They just have to be intriguing to write. So I had to find the way to make him somebody who could change. Uh,
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I was like, I don't, yeah, it's exactly. I was like, I don't like Veycosi. I would not ask him for coffee, but he is likable, right? Like I did want him. I wanted things to work out for him, even if I did not want to meet him for coffee. And you know, I appreciated Veycosi's dynamic with Andrew on so many levels. Um, so thank you for that. As a reader, I want to thank you for that. Smith's Publishing said we will be purchasing your book today, that's amazing. So I know Chynchin and Ymisen are mythological nations, like they're made up. But are there any histories of Caribbean revolution or revolt in particular that inspired it? Because I was like, oh, Ymisen seems Dutch, so maybe it's Aruba. But I was like, I don't know if that's true. Like, yeah.
I mixed and matched. So stuff around nutmeg. Some of it comes from Dutch history in the Caribbean, and uh, basically controlling the nutmeg trade at some point. There's bits of Jamaica in there, bits of Trinidad, bits of Guyana. So yeah, I really mixed and matched. And in terms of histories of Marronage and the Maroons, there are so many. It happens everywhere you try to, enslave Africans or enslave people at all. We find our way to freedom as best we can. So there is Nanny of the Maroons, who's Jamaican, who was a woman who led um, one of the Maroon tribes for freedom. There is Brazil, the histories there of Marronage. So I just, you mix and match, because I'm not writing history. Please do not read my novels to learn history, because I fuck with history.
I can't even do my history. That's fine. I'm not a student of history, so that's.
You caught the Dutch reference, because it is there. Even the pigeons, they aren't pigeons, but the colibris, the birds, I looked a little bit at, I found an extinct pigeon that used to be in the Caribbean that ate nothing but nutmeg and ate whole. So often it was pooping out like a whole nutmeg shell. Can't
Oh.
something like this.
I was gonna ask about the colibri bird, but I was like, oh no, I'm sure that was completely made up because it's like a bird with teeth and like I was just like,
The
this
pigeon
has to be like,
have teeth. I just thought it would be fun to put teeth on a bird.
okay.
That's hilarious.
Um, Erica, the next question is yours. If you want to skip to question number 9, I think that would be okay, but it's up to you.
Okay, yes, I'm actually, this is a queer story as well, and you added a poly dynamic to the story. Uh, would you like to share some of the inspiration for that? And, you know, how do you write queer men as a person who doesn't identify as a man?
I got a mistress audience of 2 here, and I can hear one of them saying research. Yeah, research. I got friends, I got sweeties, I can ask them. I can, do forever. It was challenging for me writing a male protagonist. Yes and no. I mean, you write a human protagonist, then you infuse. There's not an order, but human is human, so you try to write them as human as possible, and then try to learn about or remember the ways in which gender and gender identity and where they're living and what time they're living in inflect that experience. And I don't try to get it all right. I don't know what right would be, since every human is individual. But I try to get sort of the feel of it, and it's the kind of thing I would ask my beta readers who are gay men. Do you feel convincing? Are you able to? Is there any point where you're going, hell no? uh, so practice, research, revision, pretty much, and observation. That's research.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, agreed. There's so many things I loved about Chynchin society. So like when they don't use currency within the island, I love that. Women, I wouldn't. Maybe because the main character was a man, I wasn't like, oh, this is a matriarchal society. But women definitely held positions of power. Women were the only ones allowed to captain ships. I love that people married in triads. Um, It almost sounds like a utopia then, but then there are like huge issues around race. So like when you like, was it all organic? Were there particular things you wanted to see in a society and then you're like, let me bring this into Chynchin?
Mm-hmm. There were, I mean, originally I did not have it be a gift economy. I had them have money. And you can thank my primary partner for sort of keeping on, sort of pushing me on that, on why a society like this would have money at all. That was a fight that took years, as I recall. Uh, but once I took up the challenge, I realized he was right, and that there was some things I needed to do to make this society independent of the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
That is how they survive. They don't need your money, so they don't need your capitalism, basically. Um, and so it became a key part of the book that was actually fairly difficult for me to imagine, because I'm steeped in, a money economy. The stuff around marriages being triads, if I remember, and again, don't read my books to learn history. I was reading about ancient Taino culture, and that in some nations it was rare but not unheard of for there to be marriages of three. So I thought, okay, let's do that. Because I'm always trying to shake up your expectation of what is normative and my what is normative. I've forgotten half your question because ADHD. Can you remind me?
I dropped a lot. I no, I think that was yeah, that was I feel complete on that question. So yeah, thank you. And I mean, like as somebody who is practicing polyamory now, it was nice to see that, like as you said, so normative in a society and how they made that structure, how they implemented that structure in
Yeah.
Chynchin. Um, okay. And then Erica, you have question number 10. Yeah, I think that's where we're at. Wait.
I was gonna ask, I would love to
Where?
know what you're watching, what you're reading, and what you're listening to right now.
I forgot to look up the names of the stories. So I am reading a novella by R.C. Garcia that's about to come out. Having a lot of fun with that. The twists are fascinating. Um, I'm reading students fiction. I am watching stuff I don't have to think a whole lot about. So I'm watching lots of reruns. Um, I'm watching The Witcher because tight leather pants, I'm watching
I'm ready for it.
pretty much everybody. Um, uh, I am getting around to Star Trek Picard.
Mm-hmm.
Not easy to get in Canada. yeah, not the brain is kind of full up of words right now. So um, I'm watching things like cooking channels on YouTube. There's a guy who looks at recipes from the late 19th century up through the mid 20th and the stranger recipes, and he makes them and then tastes them
Oh, is
and
he
reacts.
from Canada?
He might be,
Okay, does he have like blonde hair?
he might, you see,
No, because
I,
I saw a guy on TikTok who was making all these Great Depression recipes
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
trying them out.
yeah,
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 and it was so
yeah,
funny.
yeah. And some of his responses are hilarious. And he keeps up this
Mhm.
pattern. Some of the recipes are hella strange. But a lot of times they were making food with what they had. It was wartime, you know, they were rationing. They didn't have basics often like flour, sugar, eggs. So people are getting inventive, and sometimes it worked really well, and sometimes not so much.
Yeah, I saw something called a water pie or something, and it was I was like, wow, and it made me think my grandmother was born in 1923, and this is probably things that she had to do. So
Yep, I
I
had the
do have one more follow-up question before I hand it back to Isis. Isis actually shared some time ago that there was like an open call for like teachers and instructors at the school that you teach in Canada for Black speculative scholars. Were you able to find the person or people that you were looking for, and how did that process go? Because I can imagine everybody who loves Black speculative fiction and is somewhat adjacent to academia submitted an application.
yeah, yes, I would. And really strong applications from a lot of people who just this is something they had been, you know, they'd never seen because it probably the first time anything like that had been um, funded or even thought of by many universities. So we got a lot of applications. The narrowing down process was both fun and agonizing because you know you're looking at all this excellence. We have, I think I can say it now. Yes, we have hired Whitney French, who is a Canadian.
French is amazing. I know Whitney French. Wow.
Right?
I'm oh my. Okay, I'm stopping. Okay, I'm done.
I'll tell her she got a squeal. It was. She got a few squeals. Yeah, yeah, she's amazing. It's going to be fun.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. That was so not, I don't know.
The interesting thing is that one of my colleagues was getting questions about whether I had been fired or whether I had quit. Because why would you have, you know, people expect the same old tokenism, right? So why would you have two in one department? So I'm like, no, I'm on the hiring committee.
You're like, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here. I make this happen. Oh my God, yeah, I need to reach out to them. That's exciting. I mean, I saw it and I shared it and I forgot I shared it. So I'm glad, Erica, you brought that into the conversation. Um, Also, the food, I'm saying it like I ate it. The food in Blackheart Man is amazing. I know in your Patreon, which I'm probably mispronouncing the word, you offer like recipes and cooking suggestions. Um, I think there should be a cookbook. I think that would be so amazing. Maybe.
Have you? Yeah, you would. You ever looked into what it takes to make a cookbook?
No.
It's
Also, I'm saying that I have no
Mhm.
idea what it is.
it
I don't even
sounds.
really cook that way. So.
No, and I cook sort of the way I write. It's like have this and have that. Let's see what happens. Unless I'm doing something like baking where you need the exact measurements, and I'm not doing that, testing somebody else's. Um, I don't have the Patreon anymore. It became too much for me to manage. Um, but yes, I love to cook. It is so much easier than writing a novel. It's quicker. You can have a meal in 20 minutes, and you can be eating it in 30 minutes. and you've done this creative thing and it's feeding you. So I do love cooking. It's literally sustaining for me. And because of the sort of complex of health stuff I'm dealing with, it helps if I can cook my own meals, because then I know if there's any gluten in it, I know if there's any, cream in there. I can find, it's another reason that I haunt YouTube, because people on YouTube who are discovering ways to cook that don't use the ingredients that make me sick, there's some freaking geniuses on there. It's like these sort of people just deciding, I'm going to figure out what I can make with chickpeas, and and doing the experimentation so then I can try it out.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. I love it. So we're coming close to time. So we'll do the second half of the live, second portion of the live, not half. Which is my second favorite part. My favorite part is everything we've done to date, and it's this or that. So I will call out two options. Erica, do you still want to alternate?
Mm-hmm.
Erica and I will call out two options. You'll respond rapid fire. If you're listening, you can put your response in the chat, and then we'll talk about why you picked the option that you did, and then we'll move on to the next one. There's only 5. Okay, so I will do the first one, which should be relatively easy. Barbados or Jamaica?
That is not easy.
Oh.
My dad spent much of his childhood in Barbados, and I'm Jamaican, so my answer is yes.
Okay. I'm here for the answer being yes. And I was like, I put that down and I was like, not only is Jamaican, she's gonna be like, how is this even like a question? So I'm glad there was more conflict than I expected. Okay.
Tantan or Otang. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but I'm probably not.
It's usually the most recent one, so let's say Otang.
Okay.
Because when people ask you who your favorite of your children is, you don't tell them.
Right.
That I don't have kids, but I'm like, would I be able to not have or not communicate a favorite? I think my kids would know. Like my favorite would know, and the one who's not my favorite would know. Be like,
yes,
you're not my favorite.
I agree with you. That's why I only have one. So I have to say, you're my favorite child. You're the best. You're my best.
Right.
One. That's it. I'm done. That's it.
Like I have one sister, I have one niece, so it's always like, you're my favorite sister, you're my favorite niece, right? And I'm like, I don't know
exactly.
what yeah, I'd be like,
I'm not going to be hated on either one of them, right?
That's fair. Okay, so I like, and I wanted to say you did we didn't talk about that, but you did some very fascinating stuff with gender in Blackheart Man, which I appreciated.
Thank you.
And I didn't ask questions about it because I think part of experiencing the book is like witnessing what happens with gender. So if I ask a bunch of questions, then it's like, wait, you took that experience away from me. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was also fun and interesting to play with, and challenging my own sort of instituted biases around who gets what gender in stories was good to do.
Okay. The next one is witches or Obia women?
Obia women. No. Yes. No. Crap. Obia women are witches. That's a matter of semantics, almost. Semantics and culture. I can never choose just one.
Well, I mean, for the last one, you chose one, but yes. Okay. So again, your answer sounds like it's yes.
All right. And the next one is camel or horse?
Is that what that was at the end? Yes. Camel. A camel is like a horse designed by a really pissed off god. I had to go and look up how you look after camels. So I learned stuff that was just confounding. A camel's top lip is split and it can articulate each side, so it can open a gate with its top lip.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. They're fascinating. They can extrude their own stomach, so it looks like they're chewing on the biggest ball of bubble gum ever. I don't know why they do it. I kind of think they do it to shock, but that's probably me anthropomorphizing.
Nesmith Jr. says people from Bahamas call it obia too. I noticed that in English Creole societies. And that's so obia women and witches can be used interchangeably. But I started watching Domino Day, can be, but maybe not. And obia and witchcraft were very like different. So that's where the question came from. And last
Are different, but the idea of using herbal knowledge and spirituality to help is common to both.
Yes, agreed. And our last question, I'm so sad. I had so much fun. Thank you so much. I mean, thank you, Nalo. Thank you so much for one, your craft, and one, hanging out with us. Erica, thank you for co-hosting this with me because I know I'd be a bit old, but I had so much fun with this.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the last question, colibri bird or a caiman?
Colibri. And again, because I had more to invent, the word colibri, one of the Taino words for hummingbird is calibri with a K. I wanted it to not be a hummingbird. It isn't. It really isn't. But I wanted to think of the kind of thing that happens when you get English-speaking invaders or colonizers who take a name and make it something else so they can pronounce it. So colibri, right? So calibri. And yeah, because they were fun to create.
And
I picked them.
you mentioned like I think at one point Veycosi is like colibri, and then he's reading something. He's like a hummingbird. Like what's a hummingbird?
Yeah, it doesn't
You
exist
know?
in culture, but he shared
Yeah.
a story about it, and he's like, "What is that?" Yeah.
Awesome. This was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank
So I don't have any copies of Blackheart Man, but I do have my art of Jamaica Ginger.
Yes.
So just wanted to show that. And there's Brown Girl in the Ring and Sister Mine and Midnight Robber, one of my personal favorites. I think I organized like 13 book clubs around that. And House of Whispers 1, 2, and 3. There was a Sistah Scifi graphic novel club discussion led by Erica Hardison on that one. So yes, we were excited about your full body of work.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be asked, and then so much fun. So much fun.
We appreciate your genius so much, and thank you for everything you do in giving space to other Black speculative writers, especially in the Caribbean, throughout the diaspora. We really appreciate you, and we will continue to be a fan of yours.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Your phone.
Well, I get to say it now. Walk good, and we'll see you soon.
Good.
Bye.
Bye-bye.